Hi, if you're watching this video, then you probably missed our New Year, New You orientation. And so I'm going to share my screen and we are going to go through the little presentation so that you're up to speed. I'll take just a few minutes of your time so that you fully know what's going on with the New You, Year challenge to set you up for success. So let's get started. Our goals of this orientation is to review the rules, understand the 4 phases of nutrition, so you know what's expected of you. Difficult to ask questions, but I want you to be 100% confident knowing what's going on with this challenge. So a couple of rules with this New Year, New You challenge. We will be giving local prizes, weekly prizes, and our Fit Body Bootcamp headquarters is giving away over $100,000. 10 $10,000 prizes and 25 $1,000 prize packages. And with that comes some rules. So you must record your start weight the week of January 13th, and this will be your official start weight. You must do the online weekly check-in from your coach. So every week your coach will be sending you an email with a link, and you'll need to check that in. You need to submit before pictures and after photos. You must record your after weight the week of March 9th to 14th at our facility, and that's going to be our in-body scan. There will be a testimonial type story of your experience in week 8. And location winners will be determined by percentage of body weight lost. So um, uh, we will determine a winner at our location. However, so the HQ will evaluate the challenge data submitted by percentage of weight lost. So, for example, if someone 100 pounds loses 5 pounds and someone 200 pounds loses 5 pounds, then the person that's 100 pounds will have lost a higher percentage of body weight. So that person would be above the person that lost 5 pounds that's a heavier body weight. You need to have before and after pictures, a narrative of your experience, and there has to be social media engagement. I'll be telling you all about that. Posting with the hashtag #IamFitBody. Facebook check-ins on our local page and on our global page. And there are links to that on the client-facing page that you've already been emailed. Now, our location rules is the location winners will be determined by the previous data. But for our prizes, I want to do our winners by positive body change. And actually, that's who I will be submitting to the HQ as well. And that is fat lost and muscle gained, as determined by our in-body scan. That's how I would like to do it, because my goal is not just losing weight. My goal is having a positive body change. We know that muscle is metabolically active. So if you have lost a bit of fat and gained a bit of muscle, even if your weight loss is not as high, but there's positive body change, that's how we will determine our local winners. I'll, I'll, I might have to, for location winners, if I can win you $10,000 by just percentage of body, I'll follow the rules if that's the case. But for our local winners, it's going to be by positive change. So keep in mind that your motivation is going to fade. If you're just here to win prizes, it's for the wrong reasons. We need to be here because we want to develop lifelong habits, and that's what I'm here to help you to do. So let's talk about fat loss, not weight loss. This is what's really important. First of all, let's look at Dina. This is her before and after picture. And in your mind, how much weight do you think this Dina has lost? And you're going to be surprised because she's only lost 6 pounds. So the fact is you can transform your body just by changing body composition. So, people say muscle weighs more than fat. No, muscle and fat, 5 pounds of each weighs 5 pounds. However, as you can see, 5 pounds of fat takes up more space. So muscle is more dense and takes up less space in your pants. So that's, you may be noticing inches changing without weight loss, and that is still a non-scale victory that we need to quantify. So we need to be focusing on those things. So, you know, the scale doesn't always reflect the progress that you're making, but pictures do. And so that's why you will need to submit your pictures front, side, and back. And you don't need to be in a bikini or your underwear, but have something form fitting so that we can see the changes. Uh, as you'll have noticed on our before and after pictures in our location, we actually can even cut off your head. I'm not sure about if you're going to be in the running for a big prize. Put your head in it, and if you don't win a big prize, but you'd like to, you don't mind if we use your before and after pictures, then we can cut your head off and just use your first name if you'd like. So uh, again, you must submit your before and after pictures for us to win a local prize as well. And we've got some amazing prizes happening locally. And so the pictures must be done this week, and you'll get an email. Not this before the 24th, I think it is, before the end of the first week. So you'll be getting an email. Keep watching your email because you'll be getting emails from your coach, and you'll be asked to submit these things. So if you're losing inches, you're also losing fat. And so this is in your getting started guide, how to take your measurements. You'll be doing measurements at home. We will be doing the InBody here, which measures body fat, hydration, muscle composition, but you'll be doing your measurements at home. We have almost 100 people in the challenge, and so it takes us a long time to do the measurements. And so we will do the InBodies here because you can't do that, but you can do the measurements at home. And then it's apples to apples. It's always the same person measuring. And your InBody. We'll be going over what your InBody means at food camp, but basically these are the things that you're going to be measuring. It's going to be weight, skeletal muscle mass, body fat mass, BMI, percentage of body fat. And the key with your InBody from the first to the last is to have them under the same conditions. So if you had your InBody done in Wednesday morning before a workout, do that at the end. Don't do it Friday night after you've eaten all your food that day. So try and keep the conditions the same for the second InBody scan. We want you to have, just maybe workout clothes or light clothing on, and you'll need to have bare feet for that. We also do lean segmental analysis. So that tells you how much muscle is actually on each limb, which is very helpful. And so we can give you prescriptive advice for exercise as well as for nutrition based on your InBody scan. So it's very helpful. We'll also be able to tell your hydration level. So we'll be hoping that we can increase your total body water over the course of the challenge. All right, let's talk about nutrition. And we're doing weekly meetings at 7 p.m. Monday nights starting January 20th. We discuss the struggles and strategies. There's a weekly prize winner that every food camp, and you must be present to win. It's really for support, accountability, motivation, and to teach you, because it's difficult going it alone. And one of my clients said, well, I like food camp. I like the meetings because it's just a weekly set point. So that, because you know how the weeks fly by, it just helps you to set yourself up for success. And even if you have one goal for the next week, then you're going to apply that one goal rather than, end up in week 4. And it's like, I haven't even done anything for nutrition. So try to come to the nutrition meetings. Nutrition is not a one size fits all. I'm going to talk about 4 phases of this nutrition plan. So don't worry, I'm not giving everybody the same read it, need it meal plans. Let's talk about what nutrition looks like. So the first phase is called food tracking awareness. Now, what I base my food plan on, and the whole New Year, New You challenge is based on understanding what you're eating, why you're eating it, and what results you're getting from the food that you're eating. Now, in order to do that, we food track. So let's imagine that you were bankrupt. If you were bankrupt, your accountant or your banker would say, you need to pay attention to the money you're spending so that we can get on top of your finances. Well, it's exactly the same thing with food. To understand what's happening with the food that you're eating, we need to know what you're eating. So the first phase of this program is called food tracking awareness, and you can actually start that right now. So download the free app MyFitnessPal, and I'll see if I can even show it to you. It looks like that. It's blue. And just get the free version and begin to food log. Don't change anything. Just start to become aware of what you're eating. Measure solids on a scale. Get a food scale, very inexpensive on Amazon or even at Superstore or London Drugs, and use cups and teaspoons, tablespoons for liquids. But you must use a food scale to be accurate. What we're looking for is we're looking for carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. 9 calories per gram for fats, 4 for proteins, and for carbohydrates. You're going to learn a lot about food at food camp. Now, the goal of my program is education. So that, like I said, you connect the dots between what you're eating and the results you're getting. And when you food track, even if for the entire 8 weeks you stay in phase 1, you're going to improve the quality and quantity of food you're eating. For example, if you make a promise to yourself that you're going to food track everything that you eat, if you food track 1 Oreo cookie, you're unlikely to eat the whole bag of it, because you'll say, oh, it's got so many carbs, fats, and proteins. I need to move. You just creates an awareness. So education is really my goal with the whole food camp idea. You do not have to adopt everything that I'm suggesting, but I'm hoping that you're going to be open to education on what food does to your body. So I kind of jumped ahead of myself. We are food tracking, and I talked about the bankruptcy example. And now, like I said, food tracking awareness creates the natural accountability. And lots of times, our current food camp clients, we play the guessing game because we food track so that we don't have to food track. So as you start to food track, pay attention and maybe even look at your red pepper and say, I think that's about 100 grams. Put it on your scale. Oh, it's 80 grams. Or, I think this red pepper is going to be maybe 14 carbs. Put it on your scale, put it into MyFitnessPal, and start to understand what foods contain, how much the quantity is, how much carbs are in them, how much fat is in them, because you're not always going to want to food track. And so creating that awareness is really important. Phase 2 is partial food tracking. So if you're ready to say, hey, okay, I've food tracked, I'm creating an awareness, I want more direction. So the first direction I'm going to tell you is I'm going to say, okay, now what you're going to try and do is you're going to try and get 100 grams of protein through the course of the day. Or if you fill out the form that I'm going to talk about later, I'll give you an exact amount of protein, but for the most part, get 100 grams of protein a day and begin to track your vegetable intake. What I advocate in food camp is volume eating. So what that means is increasing the quality and quantity of your food, first by increasing vegetable intake. So we're going to try and get in 600 grams of vegetables. I don't care if it's raw, I don't care if it's cooked. 600 grams, you'll say, oh my gosh, that's quite a bit. It is if you sit down and try and eat 600 grams in one meal. But if you have maybe 50 grams of spinach at your breakfast and have 200 grams of vegetables at your lunch, and maybe 200 grams of vegetables in your dinner, and maybe 150 grams of vegetables in a snack. You've already hit 600. So if you spread it out, it's not that much. So, why are we starting with just partial tracking? Well, it's less overwhelm, more success. There's going to be more food awareness, and it builds our habits one at a time. I do not want to overwhelm you. I want to take baby steps so that you're very compliant. All right. If you're ready and you want to do more, then what you need to do is in the getting started guide, I have it's in the getting started guide, and it's also on the client facing page. It's a form that you fill in. You have to track for me for 5 days, and then you're going to tell me your total carbs, total fat, total protein, and total calories averaged over 5 days, so that I can create a personalized macro profile for you. And the reason I need you to do this is because I want to make this personal. I don't want to just give everyone the same macro profile. There may be someone that has a long-standing diet history, and they might have a compromised metabolism, and they might be eating very little. And if I give them just a like not a personalized plan, they might start to gain weight. Or I might have someone that has a very robust metabolism, and I give them like the macros I give them, if I just give them a generalized one, I might starve them to death. So the reason I'm asking you to track for 5 days and send that summary for me, it's in the appendix of the Getting Started Guide, and it's on the client facing page. Then I can create it for you, for your intake, for your um, age, height, weight, activity level. And then if I know anything about your stress level, or if you're on night shifts or shift work, or what stresses are in your life, those all factor into the macros that I give you. So yes, it's a lot of work for me to create those personalized plans. It is a bit of work for you to do that 5 days of tracking, but you're going to get better results by getting that personalized plan. So that is phase 3, which we call food Jenga. And I call it food Jenga because it's kind of a puzzle. You start to track your carbs, your fats, and your proteins. Lots of information is in the Getting Started Guide. Please read it. You're going to try and hit your numbers once I get them to you by plus or minus 5 grams in each of the categories. There's all kinds of tips, and we're going to go through all kinds of tips. There's tips in the Getting Started Guide and all kinds of tips when we get to food camp. But basically, when you're pre-planning the night before and you start fresh each day, it makes it a lot easier. And know that it's a skill to macro count. Do not plan on hitting your numbers exactly in the beginning. It takes a bit of time, and that's okay. Every day is a new day for that. The 4th phase is Food Jenga 2.0, because your macros are a moving target. The number is changed based on how you're feeling and the results you're getting. If you are so hungry you're going to eat your fist, then we need to talk about that. Or if it's like, I can't eat all this food, then we need to talk about that. The thing is I can't change your macros unless you're tracking. So if you have no numbers to give me, I can't help you with change macros. Also, you need to come to food camp to be able to understand, the ins and outs of food tracking. This is not one-on-one personal coaching. As much as I'd like to be able to go through everybody's food log, I can't do that, but we can discuss we can discuss it in food camp, and I will definitely help you personally. But we need to kind of follow the flow of the program. Everything happens in food camp. So what about meal plans? What if you just have no idea what to eat? Well, there are Read It and Eat It meal plans available on your client-facing page that you've been emailed. And if you want to use those, you're welcome to. If you want to use those and track the macros on those pages, that's fine too. Everybody jumps into this. It's a choose your own adventure. Everyone jumps into this at the space that what works for them. And my goal for you is that you make a change and do better than you did yesterday. And you're not comparing yourself to Mrs. Jones or Mr. Smith or anybody else in the room. You're comparing you to you. And as long as you're making progress with what you should be doing, that's the right thing. It's not a one size fits all. The reason I don't want us to just do read it and eat it meal plans is that there's no thinking involved, and you won't know, well, why am I eating this? Why are we pairing these things together? And those are the things we talk about at food camp, because education drives compliance. So if I'm asking you to increase your protein and you don't know why you're increasing your protein, you're going to be less likely to do it. But if you come to food camp and understand, oh, that's why I should have a bit more protein, it's more likely that you're going to comply with that little rule. Now, lots of times in challenges before, we've had free meals, and you might be saying, well, do I get a cheat meal? I don't even like calling it a cheat meal, because it kind of makes it like we're on a diet. We're not on a diet. All we're doing is, it's called flexible eating. We're taking the foods that you already like and we're fitting them into the macro profile that I'm giving you. So free meals tend to raise the hormone level, hormone leptin. And leptin can decrease up to 50% even after 7 days of dieting. But guess what? I am not going to be putting you in a deep caloric deficit. So we're going to be keeping those leptin levels fairly steady. And my goal for you is changing the composition of your macros. So we might be having a little more protein, a little bit less carbs and fat, but a similar amount of calories, just a slight deficit. So that, and it's flexible dieting, so you can pretty much fit anything into those macros by playing food Jenga. So if you want to have pizza some night, I will teach you how to eat the rest of the day so that you can have that pizza at night. Because so we're not having free meals. Basically, what I find when clients have a refeed or free meals is sometimes we get into such a caloric surplus that we lose our calorie deficit for the entire week. So it's one step forward, 2 steps back, and we just end up not making progress. So a suggestion is to sandwich your workout between your meals. Sandwich your workout between your meals higher in carbs. So your carbs are going to be on either side of your workout as much as possible. First night at food camp, we're going to talk about suggestions of what to eat before and after your workout and why. Some of our rules. Now, Fit Body Bootcamp as a whole, the franchise, they're doing direct macros, and we are doing all macros. I'm going to talk about a little bit more about this as we get into the habit tracker, and I'll explain why. You want to be looking for a variety of protein sources. I would recommend a protein powder, but only for maybe 1 meal a day. We need a variety of fat sources and a ton of vegetables in the color of the rainbows. And this is just saying about protein shakes that you are allowed, but I would prefer whole foods and maybe only 1 shake a day. Up your water intake. You want to take your weight in body weight, divide it in half, and when you're working out, add 15, and that's the number in ounces of water that you need to have. We're going to plan to succeed, and I'm going to give you strategies on that. Now, Fit Body Bootcamp is doing physical lists, like they're providing a food list and suggesting that you stick to the food list and count your macros manually. And I have a different philosophy. I've been doing this for years. We've had food camp going for quite some time. We've done this for a number of challenges. So we're going to be using MyFitnessPal. Fit Body Bootcamp is suggesting limiting dairy. I'm saying do what works for you. Dairy can add up, but keep it in perspective, all right? But if you love dairy and it agrees with you and it fits your macros, it's fine. So support and accountability. Let's talk about this. The habit tracker. There is a link on your client-facing page for the habit tracker. I am not getting it printed out for you because a large part of the pages, a large part of it is for manual food tracking, which I find quite cumbersome. I find that the MyFitnessPal app is much easier. There's much less math involved, but there is value in this habit tracker. So I would like for you to be tracking your macros on MyFitnessPal and tracking other things on the habit tracker or in a little book of your choosing. Research does show that people that track their food and exercise reach their goals by more than 50%. So there is a definite benefit to tracking. You're going to choose the method that works for you. If you want to track your macros manually, pen and paper, that's fine. It's just a lot more math. Because, for example, if you look something up and it's 100 grams and you've only got 67 grams, then you have to do a ratio and some math. Whereas if you just choose the ratio in MyFitnessPal, it'll do all the math for you. So drinking half your body weight in water, getting a minimum of 6 hours sleep, or creating a 7 to 9 hour window for you to get your sleep in, and trying to be 90% accurate with your, or compliant with your macros. As you go through that, the habit tracker, there's pages where you can keep track of that. And I know that when we did the 0 pound game over Christmas, that we had like a tracking page, and some people just love checking off boxes, and I love checking off from a list. So if that's going to work for you, print out those pages and get a physical, something physical for you to check off. Did I get my water in? Did I get my sleep, my workout? It's just top of mind. This is 8 weeks, so let's do it. Additional habits, working out. We're expecting and hoping that you'll be here 3 times a week to get results. Planning your meals is really the key to success. Planning ahead, and I always suggest logging your food the night before. So there's pages for that as well. Establishing your why. People don't burn out because of what they do, they burn out because they forget why they're doing it. So really think about, why do I want to get fit? And maybe do some journaling, either in the habit tracker or in your own journal. Why do I want to get fit? What's the reason? Peel the onion and get to the real reason. And then on that day where it's minus 25 or 31 like it is today, and you don't feel like getting out of bed, you can remind yourself of that reason, and that will help you spring out of bed on the day you don't feel like it. So this is where they have the food tracking in the habit tracking, habit tracker document. And it broke my heart to print all these pages out that would probably not be used. If you would like to use them, feel free to print it out, but I don't feel that it's necessary. I feel that MyFitnessPal is much more effective. But really, the results come from how consistent you are with your habits. Okay. Now, our boot camp rules, pretty simple. We would like you to wear clean and dry shoes. We need you to be on time. You'll see a little stand at the front of the gym, and if it says, please come you're late, you've missed the warm-up, please come to our next session. The reason for that is because if you miss the warm-up, we do our instruction on what's happening in the workout in our warm-up. And if you miss that, you're putting yourself at risk. You're putting others at risk when the coach has to, turn to you and explain everything. Their coach's eyes are off the other clients. You're also putting yourself at risk by not being fully warmed up. It's difficult to come in after outside being minus 30 and then getting really warm and then working. Like, you need to give your body time to warm up so that you don't get hurt. We ask you to pay attention and ask questions. Our coaches, our office staff is here for you. We have an iPad. We need you to check in every time. Your coach will be following up with you. We'll be looking at your attendance and chasing you down when you're not here. Please bring a water bottle. We want you to get half your body weight plus 15 ounces of water every day. Remarkably, that actually helps with your fat loss. If you have children, we are child friendly, but only if your child can sit and read or work on an iPad for our 40-minute boot camp. So there's room in the front foyer. We have an office in the back that if they need quiet to do homework, they're welcome to stay there. We do not have child minding, so they are ultimately your responsibility. But if it's your barrier to entry, I've had some clients bring their kids here and they do their homework for half an hour before they go to swimming lessons or something, and then that allows them to get their workout in as well. We have a very positive environment, so your positivity is encouraged and appreciated. And always ask for help. We're here for you for that. And every choice you make has an end result. If you choose to come to boot camp, you're going to have an end result. If you choose to come to food camp or don't come to food camp, it has an end result. So ultimately, at the end of the day, you are responsible for the results that you get. We are here to support you and be your cheerleader along the way. Help us help you. Be a good client, ask questions, show up, come to food camp. We are very excited. Thank you for watching the orientation, and on with the challenge.